Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Missy Wilson. I'm a second generation winery owner and have been in the Pennsylvania wine world since 2005 at Cedar Ridge Vineyards. I've spent several vintages in the vineyard and cellar before settling in the tasting room and a day-to-day operations. Pennsylvania has a large and diverse range of wineries with almost 300 wineries throughout its 6 regions in the state. Over the course of this year, we're going to work our way through the regions, the grapes, and the wineries that make up this amazing Pennsylvania wine industry. So come along on this great journey with me and Uncork PA. On our first episode, we're going to introduce you to the Pennsylvania Winery Association and their extensive website at pennsylvaniawine.com with our guest, Trish Brown, General Manager of Paradocx Vineyard and member of the PWA board. Then we'll delve into the history and the current status of Pennsylvania wineries with Paul Vigna from PennLive and Patriot News. Paul's been covering the Pennsylvania wine industry on the Wine Classroom for over a decade now. So I'm first happy to introduce Trish Brown from the Pennsylvania Winery Association. And we're so happy that you could join us for this first episode, Trish.
Thank you so much for the invitation and for having me, Missy.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you to the PWA for actually sponsoring this show. They had received some grant money to be able to do this and put this show together. So could you tell us a little bit more about that, Trish?
Absolutely. The Pennsylvania Winery Association would like to thank the PLCB, Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board, for their continued support awarding grant funding for the marketing campaigns for the entire Pennsylvania wine industry. We would also like to say thank you to the Pennsylvania Wine Marketing Research Board, as well as the PA Preferred Program for their continued support.
That's great. You've gotten a lot of great funds through the state to be able to promote wineries throughout the course of the entire state. And a great location to find some information about that is your amazing website at pennsylvaniawine.com. So do you want to tell the viewers a little bit about what they can find there?
Absolutely. At pennsylvaniawine.com, that is our amazing website, which can answer questions, help you plan your trip to the state of Pennsylvania to enjoy our wide variety of wineries, as well as an educational tool. If you're interested in learning about food and wine pairings, or if you're interested in learning how to taste wine and what to look for in the different grape varietals that are offered in the state of Pennsylvania.
That's great. So not only does it have those fun tools, but you have access to all the wineries throughout the state, correct?
Correct. So if you are looking to plan your next wine trip and you know you're going to be in the Lake Erie region, you can type in Lake Erie. You could type in the zip code or any local attraction. And our website will help you build your itinerary for a great trip.
That's amazing. So instead of having to hit up 18 different websites, you can just go to one location and plan a whole fun trip. Now, the key is what we do recommend, no matter what, being in the wine industry, the both of us, is make sure you call the winery ahead of time to confirm the hours and what they're doing at this point in time. Because although we like to make wine, I will have to admit that we're not all the greatest about updating our website with everything. So always call to confirm before you actually complete your travel plans to make sure that they're open in the hours that they are open.
I agree. That would avoid disappointment. But I think you will find a lot of the wineries in the state are very proactive as far as their information that they add to our pennsylvaniawine.com website.
So what additional information do some of the wineries have on the website? So what other types of things can you find out there?
You can find out if wineries are having a concert schedule, if they're having fun food and wine pairing events, if they're offering a special. And you can also learn about the different types of wine clubs that are offered throughout the state.
That's great. So not only is the website itself a great opportunity, but you also have some pamphlets available too that you can either have available on the website, or if you are still like me and like to have a physical copy of things because internet isn't always reliable everywhere, you can actually get a physical copy, correct?
Correct. I strongly suggest you go to our website and request the Pennsylvania Wine Guide or we just introduced the Pennsylvania Explore PA Wineland travel book, which has so much great information and fun facts about Pennsylvania growing fruit, making wine, and visiting the different wineries. They are available digitally as well as an actual physical copy.
That's great. That's such a great resource because the fun part, I was actually going through the guide. It has great information about wines that grow, grapes that grow here, the variety of wines, stuff that we're going to be touching on later on in the different programs that we have going on. So, always a great resource. It's a simple one to remember, PennsylvaniaWine.com. You definitely want to take a look around there and see what kind of fun stuff you can come up with. So, this week, has been a fun week for Pennsylvania wines in general too, because as most people know, PA Farm Show is going on in Harrisburg right now. So tell me some of the fun stuff going on with the wineries at the wine show, at the farm show rather.
The farm show has a whole section designated for Pennsylvania wineries. We have a number of wineries there. It will switch on Wednesday, so if you can go on Tuesday and visit those wineries, and it'll be different wineries on Wednesday. You will be able to get samples. You will be able to buy direct some of their amazing wines. You'll be able to go to the culinary section, which is the stage in the main hall, where a variety of chefs are doing food, cooking with Pennsylvania wine, food and wine pairing as well.
That's fun. And so what just kind of wrapped up and what happened over Saturday?
Saturday, we had, through the Pennsylvania Farm Show, they announced the winners of the Pennsylvania Wine Competition. So if you go visit our website, you can see all the great winners. And if you visit the show, you will not only be able to sample some of those award-winning wines, but you will be able, again, to do the food and wine pairings.
That's great. And the great part about the Pennsylvania Farm Show is the wine competition. It ranges from dry to sweet. It has a little bit for everybody. So if you're a dry drinker, there's some great dry wines out there for you to try. If you tend to like something a little bit sweeter, we have those available for you too. So it's a wide range, and it's something that everybody should be able to find something that they enjoy.
Absolutely. The Pennsylvania wineries on the whole are interested in expanding your palate or exploring your preferences, because we do have a wine for every palate.
Which is the great thing. So in addition to the website, which has a lot of amazing information, what other social platforms are you on that people can come and get some additional information from you guys?
We're on all the regulars, if you will. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. And of course, sign up for our PA Wineland post, which is on our website.
That's a great, great type of thing. So you get them sent out to you, and you get some information about wine throughout the course of the year. So even if you forget to log on and go to the website, they'll send you some additional information to keep you updated about what's going on.
Absolutely.
So anything else you want to make sure we touch base on before you leave, or?
I'm just really excited for everyone to get out there and explore PA Wineland.
And we're excited to bring you all the variety of wines over the course of the next year doing this show. So over the course of the next year, we're going to be stopping in at wineries and vineyards and talking to different people about winemaking practices, different grapes, and what's kind of going on in the state. And we really have the Pennsylvania Winery Association to thank for this show to get you guys excited and out and trying new wines. So, Trish, we want to thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And we definitely want to make sure you, the viewers, stop at the Pennsylvania Winery Association's website. So go to PennsylvaniaWine.com and then start planning a trip to either your favorite Pennsylvania winery, or pick a new one or two that might be something fun for you guys to do over the course of the next couple of weeks. So thanks, Trish.
Thank you, Missy.
So now we're happy to have with us as our next guest, a leading writer and a great proponent of the Pennsylvania wine industry, Paul Vigna. Paul reports for PennLive and the Patriot News. In addition, he's been writing about Mid-Atlantic wineries for over a decade in his blog, The Wine Classroom. We're so grateful to have Paul with us today talking about the Pennsylvania wine industry.
Hello,
so thanks
Missy.
so much, Paul. Hey, how are you today?
Nice to be on your first show, your premiere.
Thank you so much.
One thing I actually ran, this is the, I know Trish, let's see here, there we go.
Yep, right
Trish
there.
mentioned that book, there we go. Really well done. There's a lot of information in there. Obviously, you can see it online, but I assume a lot of wineries will carry that too. So
yeah, and it's a great asset to the wine industry because, like I said, not does it only have information about the wineries, but stuff that grapes that people might not know about that are grown in the state, things like that, wine and food pairings. It's actually a beautifully put together guide that you can just keep in general for information. So
yeah, I think it's very mobile. You can
exactly tuck it away.
One other thing she mentioned about hours, as you know, a lot of wineries will decrease their hours during the winter and then increase come March or April. So I think it makes it even more important this time of the year to call the winery, see when they're open, see if their hours changed before you go. And obviously, COVID has certainly forced some changes too in terms of when you can visit and what some of the rules are. So I thought that was great advice in terms of calling before you go.
Yeah, I know, especially in the month of January is a month where people, you're busy all year round and you make it through harvest and life's a little bit crazy when you move into the Christmas season. That January is definitely a month where wineries take, sometimes a week off, sometimes they take 2 weeks off, sometimes they are closed during the week but open on the weekend. So January and February, definitely months you just want to keep an eye out and call. I mean, the websites might have different information. Like I said, we try to keep updated, but if you just give a quick call, you can always have the information on hand of when people are open. So.
Yeah, I found it. It seems like the wineries might be a little bit better on their Facebook pages.
Yes.
And Instagram, on social media than sometimes their websites. So anyway, I think that's good advice particularly in the winter months, to call ahead. You get to April, May, then everyone has their summer hours and they tend to be open 5, 6, 7 days a week.
Exactly. And beautiful weather. We definitely have some of the beautiful weather and beautiful views in Pennsylvania.
Correct.
So you've been immersed in the Pennsylvania wine industry for well over a decade now. What have you noticed since you've started reporting on the wineries and the wines? What are some of the big changes that you've seen over the course of the past over 10 years or so?
Well, as we talked briefly yesterday, I mean, I think one of the biggest changes is just the number. When I started, I don't know, maybe there were 150. I mean, there are so many wineries, it's hard to keep up, but I think you're looking at a count now that's in the 400 plus range. I think in some cases you have home winemakers that decide, hey, I think I'll go into business. People compliment my wine and they open in the garage or whatever. So one thing is just the sheer numbers of wineries that are open. Obviously, another trend with the changes in the law in 2016, one, just the access to Pennsylvania wines in a variety of grocery stores, convenience stores, and also the fact now that Pennsylvania wineries can sell other PA products. So, I mean, more and more you see Pennsylvania beers and distilled products being sold at wineries, and then at breweries you see Pennsylvania wine. So there's a lot more collaboration, I think, among the beverage producers in the state. And then I mean, it's a long list of things I've seen, but I think the other thing is just the move toward places almost becoming a destination. It's not just to come and taste the wine, but I think you're seeing more and more people spend several hours at a winery. So more wineries have music, they have food trucks, they have other events, they have yoga, they have painting classes. I mean, you can go down the list and see the variety of things that wineries have. and they've expanded into being more event type venues. You see more places putting up wedding venues around the state. So I think those are just a couple of the things that come to mind is just in terms of entertainment and such. That I think people go and expect to stay, and wineries have tried to accommodate them.
Yeah, I've definitely, in the 15 years or so being in the tasting room, it's definitely been a change of, when you first started out, you went to 4 or 5 different wineries, you planned your whole trip and you did tastings and you bought wine, and that's what your day was about. And I feel like, especially after COVID, um, people wanted to have something to do, and wineries give such a beautiful outdoor option for people that people could sit and stay in one location. And the event planning has definitely pulled in a lot more, and I feel like people will spend a day at a winery. You don't see as many people going from winery to winery. They like to enjoy the afternoon, as you mentioned. And the great thing about working with other breweries and distilleries is you now give everybody the option to enjoy the space. So if your husband doesn't like wine or your best friend doesn't like wine, there's still something for them to enjoy as well, which is awesome. So that was a great update to allow Pennsylvania wineries a little bit more access to people, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, with more places going to events like weddings, again, you're going to have a crowd that where everyone might not want wine, so you have beer, you have mixed drinks that you can also serve. So it's really helped, I think, diversify what Pennsylvania wineries have to offer.
So, speaking of wines, have you noticed that there's been a change in maybe some of the grapes that wineries have been, vineyards have been producing, or wineries have really been starting to make wines out of, compared to 15 years ago? Have you seen new different plantings and vineyards that you hadn't seen in the past at all? Have you seen new wines kind of arise?
Well, yeah, for sure. I think most wineries still make the traditional. Most of them will have Chardonnay. Most of them will have Merlot. Most of them will have Cabernet Sauvignon. Um, and I think most have a hybrids like Chambourcin and Vidal also. But on the white side, you're seeing more wineries with whites like Gruner Veltliner. You see a lot of the Traminette. And probably the fastest grower is Albarino, which has sort of found it's a Spanish grape, or at least from Spain that I think sort of found a home in both Maryland and particularly the southern and southeast part of Pennsylvania, where it's very popular. It grows well generally, and people seem to like it. And I see more and more wineries starting to grow it and make it. And then I think on the red side, I think Cab Franc has. I don't think it's a stranger to this area, but I think wineries have really honed in on how to make it well. It's been a big award winner for wineries both in Pennsylvania and some surrounding states. So I think Cab Franc has certainly raised his profile. Petite Verdel is another one that you're seeing more and more, both as a blending grape and as strictly a varietal. And then a couple others that we'll see in a few years. Carmine, there's a winery in Chester County called Wayvine that has started to make more and more Carmine, and I'm seeing there's a couple other wineries. One to the northwest of Harrisburg. I shouldn't do. Wait a second. I'm trying to think of the names, but anyway, I think in general you're seeing Carmine, and also Teraldigo is another red that you're starting to see more of it made. So anyway, I think again you have the old standbys at a lot of wineries. I mean, you there have specialized in Pinot Noir, I think over the years, and you still don't see a whole lot of that. But I think in addition to the standbys, you definitely see some of these newer grapes taking hold.
And the great part is the whole point of going to a winery is to do a tasting. And if you see a grape on the list that you've never heard of before, it's a great time to, see if that might be something you love. Albarino, I'm so happy to see that kind of flourishing around here. I think it's great that Pennsylvania is kind of trying to step out of the box and see what grows and not, just necessarily relying on Chardonnay and Cab and Merlot and things like that. So you can go around and check out a bunch of different wineries and taste wines and grapes that you've never had the option to do before without having to purchase a whole bottle, which is great.
No, I agreed. And listen, I think you're seeing those grapes in the vineyards. You're also seeing some of those grapes come in from elsewhere, and people are Manatawny Creek. I just did a story on there in Berks County. They have a Petite Syrah. I think Clover Hill I saw did a Tempranillo.
Yep, I saw that they just released that.
Access to grapes that maybe don't grow as well in Pennsylvania, but people are looking to expand what they have in their list, and so you're seeing some names that you didn't see in the past,
which is a lot of fun. So we had talked about COVID before. Last year there was quite a bit of COVID restrictions on the wineries from 2020 into 2021. And wineries had to kind of change on the fly and figure out how to do things for customers to make sure that they could still stay open. Do you think that a majority of the wineries are kind of keeping the way that they had been during COVID, and they kind of use that as something different and found a new way to reach out to customers? Or have you started to see a lot more wineries really going back to the traditional tasting at a tasting bar and kind of starting to retreat to pre-COVID sales?
Well, I think wineries learned some lessons. I think you see a lot more you're seeing more and more wineries move from tastings to flights. That seems to be a change that will stay for a number of wineries. You're seeing wineries, ship way more than they ever did, and I think that helped wineries survive the last 2 years. You still see, I subscribe to a number of newsletters from Pennsylvania wineries. You're still seeing the ability to curbside pickup, which I don't know that wineries, you could always just drop in and pick, but the curbside pickup, I think, is something that stayed around. And you still see a few wineries, I think in Nisley down in Lancaster County that, moved to a home delivery within 20 or 25 miles. And I believe that winery, and there are others, still have that available. I think it's cut back, since access to wineries has sort of gone back to normal. But I think some of them looked at, found customers that saw home delivery as, hey, it's one more convenience. And so they've added that to, to what they have, to the options that they're giving their customers, is what I'm trying to say. So I think those are the big changes. I think generally most wineries will tell you they just want to get back to normal. I don't know that they've really made that many changes within the tasting room. And listen, come spring and summer and fall, the appeal of most wineries, as you mentioned, is just the view. Come out to our winery, sit outside. We have plenty of tables. Usually, if wineries are growing vines, the vines are right there that you can see. A lot of them, the view from your place, and many others across the state. I've done stories on here's the best views of wineries across the state. There are a number of them between the hilly terrain, the woods, so anyway, the appeal still, come to our winery and sit outside and get some sun and enjoy us. And I don't think that's going to change at all.
Great. So in your research and what you've been doing recently, are there any little exciting things and tidbits you can kind of hone in on and give us some ideas of what's something fun coming in the future for some of the wineries across the state?
Oh boy. I know, I don't know that I have any, as I say, I think every winery is doing their thing in terms of different events. There's just so many options, depending on the winery, of things to do there. I don't know that I've seen anything unique. I would say it does feel like where 10, 20 years ago, the big appeal was wine trails. And those wine trails had a lot, there were 8 to 12 wineries that were part of the trail, and they always had events. You're seeing less of that, but you still can walk into a winery and after you're done say, hey, what's nearby? And usually there are other wineries nearby. You see a few that have added a kitchen. Foligno Estate is near you. I mean, they have sort of the big restaurant there. Another
They
one.
actually just added an ice skating rink too.
Did they really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think of Bucks Valley up in, I think, Perry County, that they have a kit. Boy, they make great pizza and stromboli, etc. But so many. I mean, there's so many food trucks. It seems to me Springgate in Harrisburg has talked about a food truck that's sort of devoted just to wine. So I guess sort of the cheeses, and I haven't seen it yet, but anyway, I mean, there's a lot of directions to go. So I don't know that I've seen unique things, but I think the sort of offerings for customers have certainly evolved and will continue to, this year and in the years to come.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for joining us today. We had a great talk, and it's only like we had talked about this earlier, like 30 minutes is definitely not enough. So we're going to definitely bring Paul back later on in further episodes and go into more depth into some of the regions that we have going on. So if you want to keep up to date with everything that Paul's writing about with regards to the Pennsylvania wine news, definitely go on and visit Paul's writings at PennLive.com/food. So thanks so much again, Paul, and we look forward to having you on again in the future.
Good luck with this. Take care.
Thank you. So thank you all for joining us for our first live show. Just a heads up, we'll be streaming live on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of every month. So you can join us at noon on Facebook or YouTube for the live version of the show. In addition, you'll be able to listen to episodes of Uncork PA on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Visit PennsylvaniaWine.com for additional information on both this this show and the podcast, and additional information about all the wineries throughout the state. Next time, join us as we start working our way through the state. We'll be talking to winemakers, grape growers, chefs, and learn more about the regions, the grapes, and finding hidden gems within the state of Pennsylvania. So we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks so much, and cheers.